healthcare, taxes, education system, employment.
These are the issues that matter the most to me. Every right, my right. I'm a part of my community, and my right to vote matters.
Are you prepared to vote in the next election? This is a series of videos discussing the rights of voters with disabilities in South Carolina. In this video, we will review some of the obstacles a person with a disability might come across when voting. If you would like to learn more about voting, the other videos in this series discuss who is eligible to vote, how to register to vote, and the 4 ways a person with a disability in South Carolina can choose to vote. While Alicia always knew she wanted a big family, she never imagined that she'd be parenting her children from a wheelchair. And while a spinal cord injury has changed how this busy wife and mother does things, she still loves to dive into home improvement projects. Alicia has always been a committed voter, yet once she became a wheelchair user, she learned that accessibility issues still exist in polling places. Each of the 4 ways a person with a disability can vote has different advantages and disadvantages depending on a person's individual needs. For people with disabilities who choose to vote in person on election day, certain barriers can make it difficult or even impossible to cast their ballots. Some of the hardest barriers a person might encounter are in the parking lot. For example, some locations have unpaved surfaces and lack needed curb cuts and ramps. Once you get inside, people can continue to see many barriers such as long lines that can be challenging in which to stand. Or voting machines that don't have headsets available to allow people with visual impairments to vote privately. Voting machines have a universal headset jack, so you might want to bring in your own headset just in case. Some poll workers may have limited experience working with people with various types of disabilities. For a smoother voting experience, it is best to know your rights and be prepared to advocate for yourself if needed. Curbside voting is an available option for voters with disabilities. This allows them to remain in the car and avoid potentially long lines or physical barriers. Although poll workers are supposed to check the curbside voting area every 15 minutes, it is not always monitored that frequently. Another problem some voters have voting curbside is that the voting machines are very heavy and often placed in the voter's lap for a lack of a better place. Lastly, other people in the car who do not have disabilities are not allowed to vote curbside. Absentee voting is also available for people with disabilities in South Carolina. Should Alicia choose to vote this way, she would have the benefit of voting in her home before mailing it back. Using an absentee ballot also allows people to fill out a ballot at their own pace and with the assistance of another person if needed. By voting this way, a voter can avoid potentially long lines and physical barriers at polling places. However, voters who choose to vote absentee sometimes miss the experience of voting in person. They also don't have the benefit of using the voting machine technology, such as the headsets and braille buttons. Another way a person with a disability can vote is by using the in-person absentee method. This allows a voter to vote in person on a machine at the county's designated location in the days leading up to the election. While in-person absentee is not quite the same experience as voting on election day, it gives people flexibility on when to vote. The location is accessible and the staff trained to accommodate people with disabilities. Whichever method people choose to vote, each has its own pros and cons. Each provides options and opportunities to individuals with disabilities to vote.